And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're getting there. Help me to get there. Hit subscribe, watch, comment, and most importantly, share with family and friends because the chaos, it's not going to stop. Now, look, Trump and MAGA, they want us to argue over handwriting. Argue over handwriting while the real crime goes completely untouched. Of course, I'm talking about the Epstein files because Epstein's recently released birthday book includes a whole slew of crude drawings and stories. And instead of answering the obvious questions, Trump's sycophants, his enablers, are busy screaming, get a load of this, forgery. It's not Trump's. I had Allison Gill on my Mea Culpa podcast to help me cut through the smoke. This is classic deny, distract, delay. This is Roy Cohen playbook stuff, meant literally to bury the bigger issue, not to answer it. And something I say all the time, if Trump truly wanted the truth out, all he needed to do is to flip the files unredacted, which he can do tomorrow. All he needs to do is to direct Attorney General Pam Bondi to release the unredacted files in its entirety. But he won't. Let me show you the clip. Play it. You know what's really interesting? You know who had the least provocative letter in the entire document? In the entire Jeffrey Epstein birthday book. You know who had the absolute least provocative? Bill Clinton. Yeah. It basically said, dear Jeff, happy 50th birthday, many more. I mean, talk about, right? Meanwhile, to be fair, and we'll talk about this in a second, but Trump's picture, while it doesn't look like a grown woman's body, it looks kind of like a young body. Again, I don't want to create innuendo or hypotheticals or conspiracy theories. If you read it, other than the very last line about 50 more years of secrets and so on, it's really a nothing burger, which again makes me start to wonder, why hide? Why deny, right? So let me ask it to you in this type of way. This recently released Epstein birthday book contains this letter, allegedly signed by Donald, featuring this drawing of a naked woman that to me looks more like a kid's body, as well as a phrase, happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Now, again, deny, deny, deny. That's always been the playbook. He has denied authorship. He's also denied that it's his signature. Tell me, Allison, what does this controversy reveal about the intersection of power, privilege, and accountability?
Well, I was hoping to ask you the same question because the deny and cover up and deny, I think is something that maybe Roy Cohen taught him, who was his fixer. And I know that, everybody knows, right? We read your book that you spent time being consigliere to the Trump administration. And so that was kind of a question I had for you. Is this indicative of the typical deny strategy, legal strategy that Donald Trump often engages in? Or is this a cover up to actually cover something nefarious up? Like, okay. We're taught, I was there in the courtroom as you were testifying, and what he was trying to cover up. Huh?
How did I do?
You did great. We were all very impressed.
From a professional standpoint.
We were all we were like, oh, because we thought for sure you'd be combative, and we're like, oh, he okay, all right. This is definitely a credible witness, and we were all impressed by that. At least that was the chatter that was going around the media room. We were all like, oh yeah, okay, good, right, excellent. If you're rooting for the truth to come out, if you're Donald Trump, he probably hated your testimony very much. But is it just a deny, no matter how innocuous or inane the crime is, or is he actually trying to cover something substantial up, like the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels, for example?
Okay, so yes, he was taught by Roy Cohen: deny, distract, deflect, delay. He's truly learned the art of the delay, as the entire country, as the world has seen, as he delayed so many of these matters with legal proceedings that they ultimately never came to fruition. In fact, the only two that really did, outside of E. Jean Carroll, was the New York AG and the Manhattan DA. And there's all sorts of issues, that played out with that anyway. But all the other stuff, because of the delays, the delay tactics and motions and the distractions on it, and the fact that he was running for presidency and ultimately won the presidency, there was absolutely no accountability. But
8 key witnesses claiming executive privilege that took a year to litigate in court and get that key testimony. We had Twitter refusing to hand over files without telling Donald Trump about it. There was we even had the January 6th Select Committee waited 4 months to hand over their transcripts to the Department of Justice. So all of that delay, and what's really blows my mind is the fact that he's criminally going after Jack Smith now, and one of his complaints is that Jack Smith was going too fast.
Well, there you have it. Meanwhile, the funniest part is the allegations that it's not his signature. And then you have all of these sycophants, these enablers that are there, these talking heads, many of whom are members of Congress, coming out and making statements that it's not Donald Trump's signature. I know, I forget who it was, Byron, I think, turned around and said, I've seen Donald's signature 1,000 times. I know Donald Trump's signature. Really? Well, I would like to turn around and show him as an example. Here's a personal letter that Donald wrote to me in 2006. All right. As you can see, it's directly to me from his personal stationery. That's one. Oh, yeah. Oh, so that doesn't seem like it's right. Here's one that he wrote also to me on a fact sheet. Right. Now, this one doesn't have the long line as this one does, but at the end of the day, that's his signature. And again, why deny something that has no legitimate probative value? It doesn't have any legal standing within which to make a determination of innocence, guilt, accountability, non-accountability, zero. So why not just say, yeah, I wrote it. The guy was a friend of mine. Right. And ultimately, we fell out of friendship. Mind you, according to Michael Wolff, who I had on the podcast, he turned around and said to me, the reason that they fell out had nothing to do with Jeffrey stealing people from Mar-a-Lago. It had to do with the real estate deal on that South Ocean property, the one that Trump sold for $95 million. Jeffrey introduced him to it because he wanted to buy it. So he took Donald there. Donald ended up working with the banks in foreclosure and ended up with the property.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, I think there might have been a tit for tat, right? There might have been a property thing. And then he goes and poaches people from young girls from Mar-a-Lago. And then, maybe Donald Trump makes a phone call to talk about what Epstein is doing behind closed doors, and then calls himself an FBI informant. No, that's not how that works, my friend. But the problem is that if he came forward and said, here's all the files, I was hanging around, I didn't like what he was doing, and et cetera. And it's like, well, then, you should have said something. You were quiet this whole time. There's a cover up there too. But I think to answer your question about why talk about the signature not matching, that is a way to get all of us to argue about the signature rather than brush that off and say, dude, you drew a child's naked body and wrote.
Well, he definitely didn't draw it. Can I be clear about that one too? If I had two guesses, I'm pretty sure I can go, I may be right on the first shot. If not, I'm definitely right on the second shot. Who drew it? Donald doesn't, he's not a doodler. I've never in my decade and a half of being next to him seen him even draw. Sometimes like when I'm just sitting, right, I'll just doodle something, squares. I'll make like a house. I'll draw maybe a picture of you if I'm sitting and talking with it, or at least I'll try. I'm a pretty fun doodler. Trump is not a doodler at all. He doesn't keep paper and pens on his desk. He keeps Sharpies, but he doesn't keep like pencils and little notepads and things. He'll put a sticky, but he doesn't even have a computer on his desk. He's not a doodler. And so there's no doubt in my mind that neither these drawings or the drawings of the buildings in the city that were done for charity, he got in on. He said, we're going to be doing something for charity. Can Donald draw a skyline, sign it and send it in? We're going to auction it off. So he gave it to one of his secretaries, two of whom are not just good artists. They are phenomenal artists. I mean, one of them actually is, shown in galleries. I know because I introduced her to the owners of the gallery. She's incredible, literally. And all the girls that worked for Trump were able to draw. In fact, not only were they able to draw, it was part of their job requirement, they used to sign his signature too. Like all the hats, the golf balls, the signatures on the ties. You don't think for a second that Trump sat there all afternoon signing the back of his Trump ties, that they were selling downstairs in the atrium.
Oh, I don't know. But, I think that's, neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say is that the reason that they're trying to say the signatures don't match is so that we talk about that instead of the bigger picture. Yeah, they do that all the time. This is a right-wing way to argue, right? They'll talk about semantics in the Second Amendment as opposed to the fact that, 40 kids just got their heads blown off and they can't be identified. They drag you down into this semantics argument or this detail argument and keep you there so that you miss the forest for the trees. So that's why if you ask me why that's the route they're going, that would be my answer is to keep us talking about that as opposed to just the vileness of the book as a whole, what Trump's role was, the fact that he currently can release the Epstein files unredacted and show everybody that he's not in them or he's in them innocuously or not in a bad way or whatever. It's very simple. It would be a very simple process for him to do. And the courts have called him out on it. And the rest of us need to keep calling him out on that.
Well, and that's bigger things, right? He does bigger things with executive orders than releasing a file on some guy who took his life. Can I ask you this, though? Because in that same, of course, birthday book, we saw a letter from a Mar-a-Lago businessman who references Trump in this joke.
Pash cow.
I guess, right. About a woman both he and Epstein knew in the 90s or something like that. And he does this casual mention with a check for, $22,500 for the depreciation of a woman. I got to ask you, how does this transactional representation of human life underscore the cruelty of this circle?
I think the same way the casualty of him referring to Virginia Giuffre as property when he talks about Epstein taking his property from Mar-a-Lago, reducing human beings down to property. And that's what I think sociopaths do, or, oligarchs, extremely rich people just see us as, that's why they call us human capital stock, right? Just send us into the mines and whatever happens to their bodies, they'll figure it out or die and we'll just get new people to replace them. So whether it's in a sex trafficking ring or that kind of manual labor, that's them using our bodies for their gain, right? And so I think that he sees people as property transaction, and he's a transactional guy. So add the transactional bit into there, and everyone's just something to be bought, sold, or traded.
Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.